this. Again, shout out to Taylor Umbridge for posting this interview with Alicia Andrews, her defense attorneys. If you want to watch the full video, I'll leave a link in the description to y'all so you can go and check that out. We're going to hear more from them about moving forward in the case once they got through jury selection, some of the challenges that they saw during the case and what they tried to do to overcome that. I think Alicia Andrews got lucky. I think she could have, and according to the evidence, should have gotten a higher conviction, but she got lucky. The jury saw it differently, and here we are. Let's see what they have to say.
Jeremy, you want to take this?
I was waiting on you to answer it. But you said the last part. You said what exactly was what? I didn't catch
what exactly. What did they need to prove? What did the state need to prove?
Oh, so they had 2 charges against Alicia, right? One was conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and the other one was first-degree murder. So what they have to prove is, and they charge her as a principal, right? So it means you didn't actually commit the crime, the actual underlying crime. You didn't do the shooting that caused the death, but because you intended for that result to happen and you did some act to help the people who actually did it, we're going to charge you as though you did the actual act. So they have to prove those things. They got to prove that she intended for the end result to happen and that she did something, some act with the intent for that act to cause the killing, right? That's for the principle to first-degree murder. Now, the conspiracy, they got to prove something similar, but they got to prove that she conspired with these individuals, that she had a meeting of the minds with them to go ahead and do this. So that was the 2 things that they had to prove in the 2 different charges, and they really didn't prove that throughout the trial.
Did you all?
Yes, they did. Man, we saw the conversation she had with Isaiah. She was there walking around, asking him what he was doing, where he was going. She said, "I want to go." What Come on.
Like plan to handle the conspiracy and the murder trial, murder charge different, or was it just the same goal, same strategy to isolate Alicia from her co-defendants?
So I think in this particular, you can't separate them because she doesn't have any direct involvement, and all of this is about the conspiracy, the idea that she was a part of some agreement and acted in a way that was not explicit as far as like the shooting. So I don't think you can separate them at all. I think they're required to be together because of how they alleged that she was involved in the crime.
Yeah, and it's when you're a defense attorney, the best defense is the simplest one. Mm-hmm. So if you start dividing up the counts and you start saying, well, this is the excuse for why she should be found not guilty for this one, and there's another excuse or reason for this one, and you start making the jury think too much and having to put too much stuff together, it makes it more complicated for them, and you're likely to get a guilty verdict. But ours was simple. She wasn't involved. She didn't have any knowledge of this stuff, and so if you don't have knowledge, you're not involved. How can you intend to do anything? How can you agree to do something if you're just not involved? So we remove her from the situation, rightfully so, and you don't have a conspiracy. You don't have a first-degree murder because she's not involved.
Mm-hmm. And that was like the common theme, right? In everybody's chat, in everybody's videos, like she absolutely had to know. Like there has to be a point of knowing. And as a content creator, I think that when I was kind of watching it, I was like, yeah, I feel like there was a point where maybe she could have known, or maybe she should have known. Mm-hmm. I don't think that the thought that came behind it for me was that it doesn't matter in the defense attorney's eyes because they got to prove it. I don't think that landed with everybody else. And so when you are you're in such a high profile case where social media has a lot to say, how does that impact you while you are actually advocating for your client?
Well, this is my first, I don't want to speak for Jeremy, but this is my first high profile, media type where everything is being recorded sort of case. We're not blind, right? Like we see, and I know from personal experience in covering these kind of trials that there is information to be learned by understanding how the public is viewing what's going on, right? So we're not blind. We didn't turn off social media and not see it at all. But for sure, it wasn't a focus of our defense, right? Like I was making this joke, and I've been making it every day that I see comments about this trial. They don't segregate people on the internet, right? Like the critical thinkers, they get to comment with the trolls and the clout chasers. They all are in the same comments. So.
Man, this I can't do this. Why don't you guys just go to the judge and say, hey, judge, we want to institute a new rule. The defense team, they're allowed to go into a lab, talk to Elon Musk, we'll get it set up, and we're going to build our perfect juror. Then we're going to have 12 of them. Heck, we'll even get 14 just in case one of the batteries dies. We're going to get 14 of our perfect jurors, and we're going to have them sit on the on the jury. What are we even talking about here? Oh, well, you got ignorant people. You got people that don't understand. You got trolls, and then you got the smart ones. I cannot stand when defense attorneys take a loss in a case and then they come out with this rhetoric like, well, we didn't like the jury and we don't know. People on the internet, there's ignorant people there. There are ignorant people on the jury. Like, come on. That's not how the system works. Y'all went to law school for a long time. You should know as a jury, your peers, and you don't get to pick the jury. What you do have to do is you have to present a good case to the jury. And clearly that didn't happen here. Man, come on.
So you have to be careful about what information you take in and be able to filter through it, because not all of it is valuable. But we live in an age where these trials are being recorded and our jurors are members of the public, right? So what people in the public and the way they're seeing it, it matters to a certain extent, because they're also not in the courtroom, right? So the way the camera shows what's happening in the courtroom is very different than what's actually going on inside the courtroom. And that's for sensation. That's the whole point of it. That's why the cameras are set up like that. But it was helpful, I guess, maybe in like the motion to recuse. It was beneficial to see that the public was taking note of some of what was going on. But I mean, that was the biggest.
Yeah, again, and with all due respect to Aaron, y'all left out a lot of comments about how the defense team was trash too, which I think maybe I did say they were trash at one point. I don't think they were absolute trash. I just don't think they handled and presented a good case here. I mean, they only called Alicia Andrews, which I think was a mistake. And that is it. That was the only witness that they called. So again, you're going to say that, oh, well, there's a mix of people in the comments. There's a mix of people who are wrong, which are the people who don't agree with us, and the people who are right, which are the people that were the smart ones and the ones that agree with us. You can't have it both ways. And then you're going to mention one-sided YouTube comments in the chat. Y'all need to show the whole chat, because they opened the door wide open for that one. And I hope, I cannot remember the judge's name in this one. We've seen her before. I hope this judge reaches out to me and is like, hey, can you find me some comments that say the defense team was garbage? Because the judge should be so petty in her response of their request for her to recuse herself on this one, and find other comments in the same exact live stream where people were saying this defense team is trash. This defense team's not defending her. Alicia Andrews is guilty. If I were the judge, I'd be like, oh, you want to go down this route? All right, I'm going to find you 20 pages of screenshots that say y'all didn't do a good job. There are parts of the case that were proven, but I know judges, they're not as petty as I am. Shout out to the honorable
I
judge.
would say maybe help. Negatively, I know who I am. I know Jeremy knows who he is. So that doesn't move me at all.
Yeah. What I'll add to that is that the first go round, we had like two stabs at this trial. The first one was in August, and then it got continued because the prosecutor got sick. But that time around, I did shut off my social media and all this sort of stuff because I just wanted to block out all the extra noise. The second time around, I did not do that because I had heard so much of the noise for the 2 months in between the first and the second trial that I was just like immune to it. You also realize that because the trial is being shown on YouTube, on Instagram, and TikTok, these are platforms where everybody goes on to entertain themselves. So they're in the comments trying to entertain themselves and be the most entertaining person that is in the comment on any of these platforms. And so you got to realize that everyone that is saying something is really saying things so that they can have the funniest comment, that they can get the most likes on a comment, that they can get the most views on their videos. And so
what are we doing here?
You realize that, you're not on the Discovery Channel. So people aren't here to learn or to really digest what's going on. They're just there to have fun and entertain themselves. So it is what it is. But you look at, right, I would have people tell me, because I wasn't watching it while I was in the trial, but at the end of the day, I would have people tell me what people in the chats were saying, but not like the ignorant things, like the things that really could affect our case, things that are helpful to us, constructive.
Again, not the ignorant things, but the things that I liked. Man, bro, all right.
Criticism or feedback is what I was looking for so that I could fix those issues during the trial.
Yeah, that was my next question. Did you receive anything that would have changed your strategy or the way that you approach the trial? So it sounds like
this is embarrassing, man. I don't know if I could do this anymore. It's worse than deflecting. He's basically saying, yeah, I had people telling me and looking at the YouTube comments and that helped me adjust my strategy for trial. Did y'all hear that? I'm surprised.
Tell me, because I wasn't watching it while I was in the trial.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I would have people tell me what people in the chats were saying, but not like the ignorant things, like the things that really could affect our case, things that are helpful to us. Constructive criticism or feedback is what I was looking for, so that I could fix those issues during the trial.
Yeah,
Constructive criticism from YouTube comments, from people who a lot of the time you don't know who they are. Okay, you are not a lawyer and sound ignorant, ClassE. Well, I could potentially and have been a juror, so I don't have to be a lawyer to comment on the trials. You know why? Because everybody who was on that jury was not a lawyer either. So I may sound ignorant. That's fine. I probably am. I'm ignorant of the law in some instances. That's true. But at the end of the day, I can still look at this and come to a conclusion as someone who may have been on the Alicia Andrews jury. And you know what? Put aside anything that I think. What did the jury in this case, the ones who have the ones who have a say, the ones who have a decision in what happens to Alicia Andrews, what did they say? Don't listen to me. Just listen to them.
That was my next question. Did you receive anything that would have changed your strategy or the way that you approached the trial? So it sounds like if it was constructive, you took that in, which is great.
For the lawyers out there, would y'all, if you were covering a trial that was televised in this way, would you take YouTube comments and listen to what people are saying and adjust your strategy for that? Because again, hey, I'm not an attorney, so I don't know what I would do if I were an attorney, because I'm not. I want to know what y'all think, and I want to check the comments, and we'll revisit them from some of the attorneys in the chat.
I think social media is a blessing and a curse as well. So I'm glad that you were able to find some silver lining in it, because the comments were nasty.
And we should talk about that. We should get into that a little bit. I don't know how deep you want to get, but
well, Arian, you have the floor.
Well, let me answer a question though, because a lot of people were asking this question. And I find it so interesting, because I don't know what else she would be doing, but somebody in the comments asked, why was Alicia writing so much? And a lot of people were asking that during the trial. And I it's just so interesting to me, because I don't know, well, like, what do people expect her to be doing? This is her trial. She's taking notes. She's helping us. She's assisting in her trial. So we obviously, as a defense, have the benefit of having the person sitting next to us that knows the most about, like, some of the things that, you know, they're trying to put in front of us. So Alicia was writing because she was assisting in her trial, y'all. That's what she was doing. And I saw a lot of comments like that. But I guess I just wonder what y'all expected her to be doing.
Yeah, people are a little oblivious to how this stuff should work. I mean, she definitely was helping us. Like, when the state puts up on a board 30 gang members for just one gang or whatever, and they start going through the individuals and saying who this person is and who that person is, and they start saying how this person is from 1200 or whatever, like, Alicia is there and able to tell us who this person is. This person grew up with me. This person went to...
And I think it's important that I put this in the chat, but I'm going to say this on the video. I'm going to read exactly what I said. I said feedback after the trial is fine. But me personally, I don't want my attorney adjusting their strategy based off of YouTube comments. If you're sitting there and your attorney leads over to you and say, hey, ClassE, you know what I was thinking? I was watching Law and Crime last night, and the people are saying, you know, we're not really coming across that relatable. So what I want you to do, now I want you to take off your nice shirt. I want you to get a chain. I'm going to get this permanent marker. I'm going to put a couple teardrops right here. We're going to fix you. That's what they're saying on YouTube. So we're going to change it. It makes sense. Man, I'd be like, Your Honor, can we have a mistrial or something here? I need a new attorney. It's just me.
This person is dead. This person, I don't even know this person. Like, I've never had a relationship with this other person. Like, they're lying that they're doing this. So she's writing the things down to give us, you know, commentary on what is actually being shown the jurors. You know, the state, they were sloppy. They were like, oh, you're in a relationship with this guy. And they put the picture up, and like, this guy's in 1200s. And she's like, no, that's my cousin.
That was funny.
It's like things like that she's writing down on the paper. Like, they're putting up all this stuff. They don't even know what they're putting up. and the judge is just letting it in, and she's there to help us weed through some of the stuff, right? Like, I think people, they're like, oh, why is she writing so much? Well, what do you want to do? Just stare into space? She's on trial for her life. She can write if she wants to write. And the other thing is, like, people talking about her smiling throughout the trial and whatnot. You got to remember, the camera is focused on her, like solely on her. So every time she makes a gesture of facial expression, laughs or whatever, they're picking it up. The jury is not able to see everything that she's doing. She was buried behind myself and another attorney to my left. So the jury couldn't see her making these expressions or doing any of these things that the people on YouTube could see her doing. And I'm not saying that to say that she should have been smiling more or she smiled just enough or whatever, but there were points during the trial, and there will always be this in any trial that I try, where I talk to the client or another attorney talks to the client, and we break some of the tension with, just a joke or whatever. And maybe not the funniest joke in the world, but like, if I say, did you see this? And she's like, and I say, okay, look, well, they're going this direction. That's exactly where we thought they would go. And we're going to be able to corner them on this issue. And I'll look at her, or she'll look at somebody else and she'll smile, because like, we see good things happening in the trial. So it's just like, things happen, she smiles about it. And sometimes those smiles could be like nervous smiles, but it wasn't a big deal to the jury because they didn't even see, what was going on.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Let me know what y'all think about this. We're going to move on from this topic, but I hear a lot of excuses and not enough, and maybe they get into it later in the interview, about the case that they presented and what they were able to dispute during cross-examination. Maybe we'll hear this at some point. I want y'all to go over there and support Taylor Umbridge. I'll leave a link to the full interview in the description so y'all could do that. Let me know what you think about this in the comments in the chat. Attorneys, is your new strategy, is your 2025 strategy taking YouTube comments during trial? Let me know what